get back to chapter 2 of your reader book, A Gift of Chappals. So let us continue the chapter with part 2. Mridu crept up to the window. So, listening to the screeching sound of Lalli playing the violin, Mridu just ran to the window. And Mridu, Meena, and Ravi, all these three children started peeping out from the window inside the room that what was happening there. They wanted to know, they were curious to know that what was happening inside the room and how was Lalli trying to uh, learn the violin. So this you can see the picture. Lalli is trying to learn the violin and the music master is sitting in front of her. Lalli was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. So you can see in the picture, Lalli is sitting a little distance away from the music master and music master is sitting in front of her, and her elbows are jutting out means coming out, like opening in a very awkward way, and she is looking at the music master with full concentration. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master, and in front of her the music master was sitting and his back was towards the window. His face could not be seen from the window, and he was a bony figure. Bony figure means he was very thin. He had a mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old fashioned tuft. So, this music master had a bald head. Bald head means there was no hair, and only a fringe the hair you can see in the picture, the hair above his ears. So that fringe he has tied in a form of a ponytail, so that is known as a tuft. So how the priest used to tie their hair in the ancient times, so in the same way he has also tied his hair as a tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck, and around his neck you could see a gold chain was shining, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. So as he was playing the violin with the stem of the violin, so at that time you could see his diamond ring shining in his hand. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold bordered veshti edge, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. Now again you can see in the picture that how he has put his foot on the floor. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold border veshti edge. Now what is veshti? Is dhoti in Tamil. He is wearing a dhoti with golden border, so that is veshti, and his foot is coming out of his veshti, and he was beating time on the floor with his scrawny big toe, and his big toe, you can see toe is the finger of the toes are the fingers of the foot. You can see that he is trying to put those fingers time and again with the beating, with the music. Paragraph 2 of part 2. He played a few notes. Lalli stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. Now, music master played a few notes so that Lalli could copy him. But Lalli could not copy him. She only stumbled. Stumbled means only she tried to haltingly follow him, but she could not follow him perfectly, which looked him on her violin, which looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands. It was looking as if the violin was not happy in Lalli's hands because she was not able to play the violin perfectly. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. Means music master was playing violin so perfectly with all the notes correctly. But whereas if you compare Lalli's notes, they were not at all perfect. They were not going perfect. Rather, some unhappy sound could be heard. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along, as Ravi said. Mridu stared at that huge, bee-ringed hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. So, Ravi says that it feels that the train is fitting smoothly into the rails when music master plays, and Mridu says his bee-ringed hands, where in his hands, children, he has worn a diamond ring, so his bee-ringed hands plays up the violin stem so smoothly, and a lovely music is coming out. Paragraph 3 of part 2. Squawk! There was Lalli derailing again. They said, "Oh, now Lalli is again playing that screeching, playing the violin and making that screeching sound. She is not at all playing perfectly." Amma, came a wail from the gate. Amma! Oh! So suddenly they heard a sound from coming from the gate. Amma! Amma! Ravi, send that beggar away. So that was actually the sound of a beggar who came to ask for some alms. Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda. So from the veranda, Ravi's mother's voice came and she asked Ravi to send the beggar away, where she was chatting with Tapi. So in veranda, Ravi's mother was sitting her with his grandmother Tapi. He had been coming here every day for the past week, and it is time he found another house to beg from, Pati explained to Tapi. Now Pati and Tapi, they are talking and they are discussing about that beggar that earlier he was coming here every day, but now it seems that he has found some another house to beg. Paragraph 4 of part 2. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. So Mridu, Meena and Ravi, they all went out to see what the beggar was doing. So when they reached the garden, they saw that beggar was already making himself very comfortable in the garden. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree and he was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he waited for the elms to appear. So the beggar just took out his upper cloth and he spread this cloth under the neem tree, and he was just standing beside the trunk and he was getting ready to lie down there and take a little nap. And while he was also waiting for the food to come as alms. "Go away," said Ravi sternly. Ravi strongly told him to go away. He said, "My Pati says," means my mother says, "that now there is no little food left for you in the house. So you have to go to some other house for food." Paragraph 5, part 2. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. Now beggar opened his eyes and he just gazed, looked fixedly each of the child one by one. Mridu, Meena, Ravi, all these three children. "The ladies of this house," he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, "are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away." He raised his voice, Amma, Amma. Oh, sad his wail might be, but it certainly wasn't feeble. Now, when Ravi tells him that there is nothing left in the house for him, so he says, I can't believe this, that the ladies of this house will refuse me to give food, to provide food to me, because for the last 7 days they have been giving me food. I have been getting food from this house, and the ladies of this house are so kind. They are kind souls. So I cannot believe that they would turn me away. And he, after that, after explaining this, he again raised his voice and he started shouting, Amma, Amma. His sound can be, his sad his wail might be, his sound can be sad, because he was hungry and he had not got food from anywhere. But it wasn't feeble, it was not a weak sound, it was a strong sound, because it was a deep sound, because he was hungry and his belly was strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly, and this deep sound was coming from his dry belly. Withered means dry. Dry, why belly was dry? Because he had not got any food, so his belly was contracted, his stomach was contracted, and hence the word withered belly is used here, and came booming out of his mouth. That is why this strong sound was coming out of his mouth, with its few remaining teeth stained brown with beetle chewing. So his teeth were brown in color. Why? It was stained brown in color because he was chewing beetle. Paragraph 6, 7 and 8. Ravi, tell him there is nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukkumani, and he is not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. Rukkumani was very fed up with this beggar, because for the past 7 days he had been coming every day. So she told Ravi to tell the beggar to go from there, and there was nothing left in the kitchen which they could provide him as food. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar, since beggar was standing close by only. So Ravi need not repeat all this to tell the beggar, because he had heard it himself. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear there under the neem tree. The beggar sat up and sighed. So they all were standing under the neem tree beside the beggar only. So when they could hear, these three children could hear the dialogue by the mother. So of course the beggar could also hear that. So beggar just got up from there, and he took a long breath, and he said, I'll go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. So the beggar requested that, okay, no problem, I'll go from here, but just allow me to take rest under this neem tree for a while. The sun is too hot, the tar has melted on the road, already blistered. So he requested that let me take rest here, because outside the sun is so hot and the tar has melted on the road, means roads are also so hot because of the tar on the roads. My feet are already blistered. He said that his feet are burnt with the heat of the sun, and blistered. There were blisters under his feet. Blisters means bubbles on the skin from burns or rubbing. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. Since he was wearing no shoes or any chappals or anything, so he could show these children the blisters he was having below his feet. Paragraph 9, 10, 11 and 12. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena Ravi. Have you got a pair in the house somewhere? So Mridu is saying that she thinks that this beggar has no money to buy even the chappals. That is why he has got blisters under his feet. So she asked Meena and Ravi, have you got any old pair of chappals in the house somewhere? I don't know, said Ravi. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. So Ravi says that his chappals are too small for him, and Mridu's and Meena's feet are larger than the feet of the beggar, so their chappals would also not fit the beggar. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road, gleaming in the afternoon heat. So while beggar was getting ready to go out and just putting up his dhoti around his waist, he just looked at the road and he was feeling very fearful because of the heat in the afternoon, which he has to face if he goes out. He needs something on his feet, Meena said. Her big eyes filled. It's not fair. Big eyes filling. It's not fair. So Meena is feeling so bad about the condition of the beggar. So she says, we must provide him with something so that he can comfortably walk on the hot road. And it's not fair. It's not fair that a person, a human being, has to go out in heat in the afternoon like this, barefoot. Paragraph 13. Shh, said Ravi. I am thinking about it, blubbering. It's not fair, it's not fair, isn't going to help. So Ravi is also feeling very sad about the condition of the beggar. So he is thinking about how to arrange some chappals for him. He is saying it's not fair in a blubbering sound. Blubbering means in a sad sound or in a crying sound. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on that road. So he is very worried about beggar. He says if he goes barefoot on the road, what will happen to his feet? His feet will be fried on the road. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. So Ravi decided that with the help of Mridu and Meena, they are going to search for a pair of chappals in the house so that they can give that pair of chappals to beggar. Paragraph 14. Just as she stepped into the veranda, as soon as Mridu came inside into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the old looking chappals. Mridu just saw that old looking chappals which she had seen when she was keeping her own chappals. The same chappals which she had noticed when she arrived the house. Ravi, she whispered to him, whose are those? So she is asking Ravi, whose are these chappals? I am sure students you must have guessed by now whose chappals are these. Paragraph 15. Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby looking but sturdy old slippers. He beamed and nodded. These are just the right size. So Ravi also noticed those chappals and he observed the size of the chappals and he said that these are just the right size for the beggar. He said picking them up. So he immediately picked up those chappals. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden. And Mridu and Meena also followed Ravi and they were very nervous while they were going to the garden to give chappals to the beggar. Why they were nervous? Because they were taking somebody's chappals without somebody's permission. So basically, they were stealing that pair of slippers. That is why these children were very nervous.